aspect of the law because they didn't come with a correct spirit. And you have the same individuals back today boasting in the law, boasting in their fringes as a form of salvation, but their minds are corrupted. Their spirits ain't right. Sending there, here it is, you got on fringes, but you'll send your own rib to go and lay with a white man, only for him to come back, or her to come back and dominate you with a strap-on and a Donald Trump hat and call you an Nigger. This is your chief priest, okay? Be associated with Crips and Bloods, but you got the fringes on, showing you that these dudes who boast in the ritualistic aspect of the laws, okay, the majority of them, their spirits ain't right. Because you can still have on fringes and have a right spirit, but you got to uplift your Hawashai. And we're going to show you these men didn't do that.
Right, giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahawashi, by Hashem Hawachakodash, and double honors to our apostles and elders, her great millstone. Peace and blessings to the Lord's hopefully elect. So like Elder Yashawama said, and he's doing a response video to that video that the Christian had put up, looking like they got a victory over what looks to be a branch of the Sakari, who seek to justify themselves in the law, and they're trying to reach perfection without Yahawashi. And the scripture tell you that perfection must be acquired by works and faith in Yahawashi. There's not one, not just one, or not just the other. It has to be both. Because we're justified by our faith, and it's our faith that's going to fuel our good works. And what I wanted to mention about the fringes is that the Israelites that want to boast in the fringes, and a lot of them now just use it as a fashion statement. To them, it's just a fashion statement. And even with the understanding that we have today, and the brothers and the apostles teaching about what the true understanding of the garments are meant to be, is talking about spiritual. And it was really always the case from the beginning. All right, our forefather Abraham was a prime example. Jake still don't understand the concept that the true fringes that Yahawashi are looking for and looking upon you to make sure that your garments are spotless and you're properly clothed is that of the heart and is that of the spirit. Because if you go back to the fringe, really just goes back to remembrance, right? So if you go to Numbers 15, verse 37, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they make them fringes in the border of their garments throughout their generations, that they may put upon the fringe of the borders of a ribbon of blue, and there shall be unto you for a fringe, that ye may look upon it, and remember all the commandments of the Lord Yahweh, and do them, and that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which ye use to go a horn, that ye may remember and do all my commandments, and be holy unto your power. I am the Lord Yahweh your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your power. I am the Lord Yahweh your God. So the fringes is to remind you of the Lord. It's to remind you of his laws, and it's to remind you of him, and it's to remind you of his fear. That's the true fringes. So why is it now that when you come across an Israelite out and about, and they're trying to teach you the scriptures, and you let it be known to them, hey, shalom, brother, yeah, I know the truth, I'm an Israelite. The first thing they're gonna look you up and down, especially that group IUIC, and they're gonna say, well, if you're an Israelite, then where your fringes at? Okay, my response is always the same. I'm wearing them. I'm wearing them in my mind, in my heart. And then their response will be, well, doesn't the law say we're supposed to be wearing it? And I'll say, yes, but what was it given? It was given because a man lost his life on the Sabbath day. So it was given as a commandment to keep you in remembrance of Yahawashi. And when you understand, like the book of Revelation 19 tells you, that the righteousness of the saints is the true garments. As Revelation 19:7, let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife had made herself ready. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of the saints. And when he says in Revelation 16:15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame. So the true righteousness is the true righteous garments is the righteousness of the saints. Just like that one brother who rebuked the men. Well, he didn't really rebuke them, but he was trying to correct those men of IUIC, where he said that because they was getting on the sister for not wearing the right clothes, and he said the true right clothes is the armor of Yahweh. He was quoting Ephesians. He was like the breastplate of righteousness, the shield of faith. That's the true armor, which he was correct. But that man of IUIC got upset, and he said he went to Zechariah, where the Lord said that he's going to judge all the Israelites who are clothed in filthy garments. And he actually believes that it's talking about your actual clothes. He said that. He said the Lord is going to judge you based off the clothes you're wearing. They don't understand he's talking about spiritual, man. He's talking about your spiritual garments. But they want to take offense to that because they want to boast, like you heard the elder say, they want to boast really in the law. And they want their clothing to make themselves perfect. But like you heard the elder say, you could have on fringes, you can be in complete compliance and have a right spirit, right? And you could be in complete compliance according to the letter and still be off and still be wicked and still go off. Still. So the true fringes is that of the spirit. It's remembering the Lord Yahweh Yahushua. What's more acceptable? A man that knows that he's an Israelite, or shall I say, put it this, what's more acceptable? A man that has on fringes to do what Alizé did, or a man that have on fringes and commit the act of adultery, versus the man that doesn't have on his physical fringes, but he knows better than to come near a woman who's married. What's acceptable in the eyes of Yahweh Yahushua? It's the latter. Because though he may not have on the physical garments, he understands in his mind, he's got his spiritual fringes on to keep him away from committing the sin that is worthy of death in the eyes of the Lord. So what good are those fringes if your inner man isn't renewed? And I don't know how many times we got to explain this, but you see it goes right over these guys' heads. And like I always say, it points to the fact that deep down that there's a chance you're an anti-Messiah, because if you want to be justified by the Lord, by the law, you want to go around Yahushua. And according to the scriptures, what Paul said, if you are justified by your own works, then you have no need of Yahushua. Deliver yourself. So when you do stumble and fall, don't call on Yahushua. You don't need him, remember? So which one is it? So as Romans 2:26 says, therefore if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law, shall not the uncircumcision be counted for circumcision? And shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge thee who by the letter and circumcision doeth transgress the law? Okay. For he is not a Jew which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision which is outward in the flesh, but he is a Jew which is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart, in the spirit, and not in the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of Yahweh. So the true fringes, the true garments of righteousness, is of the spirit and not of the letter. Though it is in the letter, we're not justified by that. Now that doesn't mean that we just we completely nullify that. No, we have fringes. So when we go out and teach, we make sure we are in compliance. We got the fringes on our garments, and we explain to them our custom. That's what it is. But wearing it every single day, putting it on our clothes, no, we don't do that, because we believe that it's of wisdom. Now, it's not a sin for you to do that, okay? But it always begs the question, the first thing an Israelite gonna say to me is, then, well, where your fringes at? And I'll say I'm wearing them. And when you talk about the spiritual, then they have a problem. And it's because, oh, so you don't understand what this is really about. And don't think I won't go with you. I'm always ready to go, okay? But the last time I did that, it was that group WFI, which it was a cool, we had it was a peaceful speak, but once I was about to get going, it's like, okay, well, we agree. Yeah, okay. So there's look, okay, I understand. We understand what this is about. Now, truthfully, all you have to do, if you just want to believe, if you want to wear the fringes on your garment, if in your conscience and make you feel better about yourself, then go right ahead. But when you want to talk to another Israelite and say you out of compliance because you ain't got your fringes on, well then that just means you lack understanding of what the true fringes are. Again, the word fringe just go back to remember. Okay, it goes back to the word remember. And did you know? And as the scripture says, to forget the Lord is a sin. 1 Corinthians 7. 19. Circumcision is nothing and uncircumcision is nothing but the keeping commandments of Yahweh Yahushua. Exactly. So that's why somebody who can be physically circumcised, who breaks the law, is circumcision made uncircumcision. Though he's physically in compliance, spiritually he's uncircumcised. So spiritually he's off. So what matters is that, and we push for physical circumcision, by the way, too, because you have to be in a part of the Lord's Passover. So you should strive to obtain that, get that done if you want to keep the Lord's Passover. So, because you understand in the scriptures, you had the physical, but then there was also the spiritual aspect behind it. The Passover, we keep the physical Passover, we eat physical lamb, but it all symbolically speaks about who Yahushua. The wine is physically wine, but it's referring to the blood of Yahushua. The tabernacle, right, the holy place, was speaking of a future spiritual, which is who Yahushua, and holiest of holy, which is the heavens. Same with the garments. It's telling us our righteous garments is that of the spirit. That's what really matters. You understand? And the reason that has to be taught is because if it was taught that way, then you would have more Israelites who would do more work on the inward man versus just the outward man. A lot of Israelites just believe, well, as long as I got my garments on, then that means I'm righteous. But yet they're neighing after every man's wife. They're plotting their next adultery. And it actually happened in the group IUIC. So that shows you that you boasting in your outward appearance, your main focus should be the inward, or inward. Jeremiah 2:19. Thine own wickedness shall correct thee, and thy backsliding shall reprove thee. Know therefore and see that it is an evil thing and bitter, that thou hast forsaken the Lord Yahweh thy God, and that my fear is not in thee, thus said the Lord Yahweh of hosts. Because when you forget the Lord, you turn your back on him. That's a sin. That's why everything in the scriptures is what? Remembrance. Everything is about remembering. Okay, the fringes is to remember. The Passover, remembrance. Day of Atonement, remembrance. Everything we do is to remembrance. Even the Sabbath is a remembrance. Why? Because we're in the flesh and we can easily forget. And when you forget, then you start to feel yourself. Then that leads to sin. What did Moses exhort Israel before he left? Don't forget. What did Joshua exhort Israel before he left? Don't forget. You have to remember. That's what this is all about. So the fringes on our garments is to remember Yahweh Yahushua. Remember that we are Israelites. We conduct ourselves in a holy manner, and it's really supposed to renew the inward man. You understand? And that's what's really important. That's what matters the most. Okay, is the inward man. Look at these examples, like we just mentioned, of Israelites in the flesh who boast in their outward appearance and the law this, law that. But they are guilty of some of the most heinous crimes because they aren't renewing the inward man. They don't have on their spiritual garments. They're really naked. That's what matters the most. So just know that the fringes goes back to remembrance. As long as you keep Yahweh Yahushua in your remembrance and you fear toward him, you in compliance spiritually, because that's what matters. And I always quote it, but let's read what King Solomon said. Ecclesiastes 9:8. Let thy garments be always white, and let thy head lack no ointment. Is that talking about physical? That the moment you drop a stain on your garment, you sinned? No, it's talking about spiritual. Let your garments be always white, meaning strive to be spotless all your days, and let thy head lack no ointment, meaning don't forget you're an Israelite. Don't forget the fear of Yahweh Yahushua. Don't forget. Stay in remembrance. Keep these garments. That's why Yahweh Shah said, blessed is he when he keep the garments. When he find him, he has his garments on. Not talking about physical, okay? He's talking about spiritual. And if only these guys would understand that. But, I guess to Jake, to them, it's just too weak to boast in the fact that, or to accept the fact that we need help. We need help. We need Yahweh Shah. Why are you ashamed to say that? This flesh is corrupt, is weak. Okay? We need the Lord. And if Yahweh didn't care, he wouldn't have sent his son. So he does care. He says, my thought towards you are peace. I got good things thought to you. So much so, he said, I'm not going to forsake you. I'm going to send you my son. But, Jake, you got to remember, you can't boast in the law as much as you want to. Just like Moses told the Israelites, don't think it's because your righteousness you get in this land. Because if it wasn't for me pleading on your behalf, the Most High would have took you out. Don't think that. And don't think, because we getting this because of the faith of Abraham, and the Lord is a man of his word. You're not being saved because of your works. You're being saved because of grace, mercy, and faith. We need help. We need it. We need Yahweh Shah. What's so hard about accepting that? Why to you does that seem to be weak? Yes, if you want to be a righteous man, then you do the right thing. And the Lord will give you the glory in the due time. Why are you trying to go around Yahweh Shah? Look, our people have tried it already. Read the book of Kings and Chronicles. When we were left to our own devices, we went off. We already tried our own way. We tried to do things our own way, man. We got a better way, a better hope. Why are you ashamed of that? The book of James 1:27. Pure religion and undefiled before Yahweh and the Father is this: to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. So keep on your garments, keep your fringes on. Okay, spiritually. Shalom.